The pull-up, the greatest back exercise of all time. A true measure of upper body strength and control. It's honestly a really simple exercise, as all you have to do is bring your head over the bar. But why is such a simple exercise so damn difficult? Today, my friend, I'm going to teach you exactly how I mastered the pull-up. When I say mastered, I don't actually mean mastered. I'm not like the world's best calisthenics athlete in the world, but I'd say I'm pretty good at pull-ups. And I did manage to get my pull-ups from looking like this to something like this. And trust me, it did not happen overnight. I've been doing pull-ups for many years. And after all these years, I can safely say I have created the best formula to improving anyone's pull-ups. And after you finish this video, I can guarantee you will be set with everything you need to start flying over the bar. And I found that the best way to progress in these pull-ups is to gamify the exercise and to make it feel as if you're climbing from level 1 to level 6. Just watch through the entire video, because even if you're lucky enough to spawn in already being able to do pull-ups, there are some foundational steps that you might miss that will be useful in the later levels. Let's first talk about what a pull-up is and what it should look like. A full pull-up looks like this. And if you look closely, there are two main phases to the pull-up. There's the bottom phase of the movement, scapular depression, and then the actual pull-up. When most people first start doing pull-ups, they completely neglect the bottom phase of the movement and go straight into doing half reps. And don't worry, when I first started doing pull-ups, I did the same thing, but the only issue is when you neglect the bottom phase of the movement, you just end up stunting your growth. So I'd say the most important tip, but the most boring one, is to practice the full pull-up. This means starting from the dead hang, retracting your scapula back, and then pulling yourself up, as well as controlling the descent and returning back to a dead hang. And pull-ups are one of those exercises, like most exercises, that benefit from quality over quantity. So if you can't do pull-ups yet, practice these three things: the shrug, the negative, and easier progressions. If you can't pull yourself up yet, I do recommend practicing negatives. A negative is when you jump up to the top of the pull-up and then slowly bring yourself down all the way to a dead hang, controlling the negative the entire time. If you do have a doorway pull-up bar, please be careful when you jump up and do a negative, because they're quite well known for falling over and smacking your head on the floor, so be careful. Another thing you can do if you can't do a full pull-up is to use bands or the assisted pull-up machine. Start off with a resistance that you can do about 5 reps for, and then increase the reps until you can do 8 or 9, and then eventually decrease the amount of resistance you need to actually do the pull-up until you're actually able to do the pull-up. Of course, when you combine this with the shrugs and the negatives, you will be well on your way to getting the pull-up pretty quick. The last thing you can do at level 1 to help progress your pull-ups is the Australian pull-up. This exercise is perfect for learning the pull-up, as it recruits similar muscle groups, and you can also adjust the angle depending on your skill level. You have to also bear in mind that doing a pull-up is a body weight movement, which means if you're lighter, it's going to be easier. So if you're currently a bit heavy or a bit overweight, I would consider going on a cut to make pull-ups feel a bit easier. If you've managed to go through level 1 and you're now able to do a few pull-ups, first of all, congratulations. And second of all, it's time to increase those reps. And the only way you can do that is just by doing more reps. And there are 3 ways of going about this. Method 1 is by programming 4 sets of max pull-up reps into your program twice a week. The goal for you should be to stick to those sets and then make sure every session you're trying to increase your reps. Just try to picture it as a game where each day and each session you're trying to beat your high score. Also, on the last set, when you can't do any more pull-ups, do some negatives. Don't write down the negatives like as your reps, do them to get extra volume. The second thing that I did to help increase my reps was to add 2 extra sets of an easier variation once I complete the 4 sets of max pull-ups. For example, you could do a weighted Australian pull-up, a chin up, or a neutral grip pull-up, whichever one you prefer. What this also does is increases the amount of time you spend on a bar. And when you spend more time on the bar without straps, you will be increasing your grip strength, hopefully to the point where your grip is no longer the limiting factor. And it's something that most people suffer from, so I do recommend spending as much time on the bar as possible. And my third tip for increasing your pull-up reps is to apply a technique called greasing the groove. And I'll be honest, this technique does work best if you have a doorway pull-up bar, but it can also be applied at the gym. So the way this technique works is, whenever you walk past a pull-up bar, whether that's in your doorway or at the gym, you have to do a few reps of the pull-ups. And this will eventually build up the amount of pull-ups you do throughout the week, and trust me, it does add up. And to be honest, most people who are at level 2 probably have the strength to do more pull-ups. They're just not used to the movement yet. And what greasing the groove does is allow them to practice it and of course, get those neural pathways going, firing, and getting them ready to do some more reps. Now level 3 is interesting because you're now at the point where you can do 15 to 20 clean pull-ups in a row. And at this point, you probably want to start doing muscle-ups, or you might already be able to do them. Now that you've reached level 3, there are 3 things you want to start It's a bit of a tongue twister. Now that you're at level 3, there are 3 things that you want to start doing. Number 1 is investing into a weight belt. This piece of equipment is probably the best thing I have ever invested in when it comes to my training. Weighted pull-ups will completely transform your body and your strength. Imagine how much your body will change from going from 8 clean bodyweight pull-ups to 8 clean pull-ups with 25 kg added onto your body. And at this point, bodyweight pull-ups literally feel like nothing. You literally feel weightless. The next thing you should also be doing is experimenting with explosive pull-ups. Explosive pull-ups alongside your weighted pull-ups truly creates the feeling of being weightless on the bar. And it's this weightlessness that you get from that training that makes muscle-ups look effortless. And depending on your goals, the third thing you should be doing is one-arm pull-up training. And this could just be archer pull-ups or one-arm pull-up negatives. And to be honest, I'm probably around a level 4 to level 5 myself, so this is kind of aimed at myself too. And this is what I would be doing if I really want to take my pull-ups to the next level. And once again, this tip is pretty boring, but I would first start off by doing more pull-ups. Because currently my pull-up training mostly just consists of weighted pull-ups and occasionally playing on the bars. I can just about get one good one-arm chin-up / pull-up right now. And aside from just adding more weights onto my pull-ups, I'll also start doing more body weight control type of exercises, mainly with the rings. I feel like the rings are just an incredible way to practice your false grip, as well as those slow pull-ups and muscle-ups that you always see calisthenics athletes doing. And I've always admired the slow muscle-up. I just think it's one of those skills that just looks so aesthetic, especially when you go from maybe a muscle-up to a handstand on the bar, or even a muscle-up to a planche, which is something I cannot do. I can just about straddle planche, just about, sometimes on a good day, but I'm not really too focused on calisthenics right now. I'm always on the fence, but you know, if this video gets 1k likes, I'll probably do some sort of video called doing calisthenics for 30 days straight, so I'll give it a thought. But yeah, that's everything I would do to reach level 5. And to be honest, if you're at level 5, the only way you could progress any further to a level 6 is by doing something like absolutely outrageous or silly, like one-arm muscle-ups. And if you have any more questions, whether it's about your training, your diet, fitness in general, just send me a DM on Instagram. I'm always happy to help. Also, if you do need any help with getting leaner or building muscle or just achieving any of your fitness goals in general, I am doing one-on-one coaching. So if you're interested in that, just press the link in the description down below, or just DM me coach on Instagram. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and as per usual, it's been a pleasure talking to you. My name is Iyed Harishi, by the way.